beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel, The Writing Desk Diaries. I'm Danny, the person behind D. Lavelle Books, and I'm so glad you decided to join me today. Today, I'm going to read the prologue from my second published work, The Silent Offering, podcast style. But before that, I want to share what The Silent Offering is about. The Silent Offering is my supernatural horror with social commentary. It's like what would be born if Jordan Peele and Ryan Coogler came together and had a literary baby. All supernatural tree that consumes blood in order for the land around it to flourish. But colonizers, not understanding this ancient natural being's purpose, decide to feed it black and brown children. Now the land is prospering off of their sacrifices, and the town's institutional silence fails to acknowledge their disappearances. That's the whole vibe of the book. It follows Jeffrey Dunham, a Chicago journalist who returns to his hometown after a young child, Micah Gaines, is found dead in the same area where his sister disappeared from 27 years ago. With the help of his old friend and town sheriff, Riley Thompson, along with a very eccentric librarian, Elias Monroe, they encounter supernatural forces and they unearth deadly secrets that the town's most powerful and influential have been hiding for centuries. Now they have to work together to stop the evil from spreading through the town before it's too late. Let's get into it. Inside my prologue, because it's packed with themes that I think are really important to talk about, especially considering the world in which we're currently living. I'll talk about how language dehumanizes people, how faith gets weaponized, and how silence becomes complicity. The baby hadn't even cried yet when they slit his throat. Naomi didn't see the blade move. 1 second, her baby was wrapped in lambskin and oil, looking up at the ceiling. Next, there was a line of red across his neck, too fine to be real. Then the blood came. Slow at first, then steady, flowing over the woman's hands as she held him, tilted like a chalice. Naomi screamed. She'd screamed when they took him from her. She'd screamed when they smeared ash on his forehead, when they opened the door and let the chanting in. But this sound came from a deeper place, a place below her ribs and lungs, where grief hadn't even had time to settle yet. The woman holding her baby looked down as the blood spilled into the stone bowl they'd brought with them. Her hands didn't shake. Her expression didn't change. "This is mercy," she said gently. "We've planned everything so carefully, Naomi. The Almighty showed us the way." The townspeople were already gathered, circling the trunk with their heads bowed, each with spirals drawn across their foreheads. The spiral meant devotion. It meant binding the soul to the tree. It meant silence. The preacher held the bowl high, proclaiming, "The first of the season, pure and willing." Naomi laughed. It came out sharp and broken. "Willing," she rasped. "He didn't even know what life was yet, and you took him from me." The crowd didn't turn. They didn't even look at her. This was part of their ritual. Once the blood was drawn, the mother would cease to exist. Only the offering remained. The townspeople chanted in unison, "From one child's blood, 1,000 blessings flow. May our harvest be bountiful, our weather mild, our prosperity unending." The tree provides, the tree protects. Naomi sank to her knees. The blade, the spiral, the bowl, the robes. They would do this again and again, and no one would stop them. "I hope it rots," she whispered. "I hope the tree burns and the hollow chokes on him." The preacher took out a black leather book, dipped a quill in the baby's blood, and scrawled "Obedience Ledger" in service of the hollow on the first page. Beneath it, he wrote "Unnamed, 1628, first offering accepted." The preacher finally turned towards Naomi. "It won't," he said. He was clean. So first, I'm going to touch on dehumanization. The townspeople don't even look at Naomi. That's part of their ritual. Once the blood is drawn, the mother ceases to exist. She served her purpose by giving birth, and now she's invisible, basically disposable. I think that's one of the cruelest forms of dehumanization, when you're only valued for what you can provide, and the moment that's over with, you don't even exist anymore. So now I'll touch on faith as a weapon. "This is mercy," the woman says while holding a dying baby. And honestly, that's what scares me the most, how easily people twist faith to make themselves feel righteous while doing terrible things. I wanted to show that because I think it's something we need to recognize and name. Silence and complicity. The midwife holds the baby while his throat is cut. Her hands don't shake, her expression doesn't change. She's not the one holding the knife, but she's holding the child still for it. And for me, that's what complicity looks like. You don't have to be the one committing the violence, just the one who stands there and lets it happen. The one who doesn't scream, doesn't run, doesn't intervene, or try to stop it. So finally, I'll touch on erasure. The baby doesn't even get a name, just unnamed 1628. And I wrote that intentionally because erasure is part of the violence. When you strip someone of their name or intentionally neglect to record it, when you treat them as disposable, you're saying their life doesn't matter or that yours matters more than theirs does. For this prologue, I wanted to show how ordinary people participate in extraordinary evil, how they use religion, tradition, and ritual to make horror seem normal. Because I think those are questions we still need to ask about who we decide matters and what we're willing to ignore, about how anyone can do terrible things while professing to be people of God. The Silent Offering is out today. If this kind of horror, the kind that asks hard questions, speaks to you, check out my website. The link's in my bio. While The Life I Didn't Live was born from grief and a love letter to those who felt invisible, this story is a love letter for those who have lost children to systemic violence and a mirror into how our society treats its most vulnerable populations. This is by far my heaviest work. It wasn't easy to write. It's not easy for me to reread, but it was necessary. If you can sit in the uncomfortable truths of our society and look inward as much as outward, it may be something you're interested in reading. Thank you so much for holding space for me today. I hope you stick around so we can learn and grow together. I'll see you in the next one. Happy creating.